Weird.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Numsa here at Nkosi Talk Shows, Find Your Own Voice, Lead from Within. So with me today, I've got Grant Morel, Nick Motichka, and Dr. Biget, and Amanda Murray. And our topic today is uncovering the unexpected, how to handle the uncalled for and unintentional. Have you ever been caught up off guard by an unexpected situation? Sometimes that you never saw coming and left you feeling completely unsure of what to do next, whether it's personal crisis or business crisis or work issues or just awkward moment or relationship issues. Life has a way of throwing curveballs. And but what if we told you that there is a way to handle these unpredictable events with confidence and grace? So welcome to Uncovering the Unexpected, how to handle the uncalled for and the unintentional. What do you think about the conversation, Dr. Biget? The topic?
Thank you, Numsa. I find that if the topic is very important because, as you said, and I was writing that somewhere in my social media last night that with life, it is not if we're going to face challenge and adversity, it is when. And that is in a way is a quote from the Dark Knight. And so how do you take care of that? Well, everybody has a different approach, and nowadays, and many times people, if you share something in the social media, the most first common response is be strong. Now, while I think it is important to be strong in whatever way that it is for you, I also would say that if it's something happened, the first thing is to actually acknowledge. Acknowledge, this is something I share in my book here, Seeking Peace. The first thing is to acknowledge. Because sometimes what happens is we're so focused on, I'm going to be positive, we're going to be strong. And it's kind of almost like we are creating something where we're a little bit running away. And also at the same time, we're also running away to a degree when we are just focused on the doing. We push away or run away from the feelings. And at the end of the day, you're still human. And human has feelings, human has heart. That's the main thing that make us different than our counterpart, artificial intelligence nowadays. And you want to acknowledge your feelings, acknowledge and allow your feelings, even if that is not something that's seemingly strong. If you feel like something happened and you want to cry, it's actually very healthy to cry. The body is designed to help you cry. And if you want to scream and yell, there are ways to do that too productively, actually. And so acknowledge what's going on and allow your feelings. And then from there, you'll need to be taking action. So, and that will be able to and allowing support as well. And that's something we definitely can discuss following up. What about you, Nick? What do you think?
Yeah, I really like that acknowledge piece. For me, that was something that I didn't do for a long time. When crisis or trauma would happen in my life, I would ignore and push down, which is not a long-term sustainably not going to work in the long term. And so yeah, I really like that part. And then for me, I'm at a point now where I guess with the benefit of having gone through a lot of situations that required some corrections and some changes in my life, I see those challenges when they come up as kind of from, I guess, a higher perspective, in the sense that I can, even though it in the moment feels tragic and like, oh my God, like what's going to happen, I have this sense of almost calm, because I know that historically when those situations have come, that as time moves on, it actually ends up, a lot of times those end up being blessings, you know, because they've caused you to make big changes in your life and have opened up other opportunities that you can't foresee in that moment. And so that really helps for me to realize that while they're challenging and, you know, really upsetting and tragic in the moment, a lot of times it's actually, I think, the universe calling us to make a course correction, or to learn a lesson and to move forward in a positive way. And I think of people that keep having, you know, the same thing keeps happening, the same relationship keeps happening to them, for example. And it's just, at the end of the day, it's the universe trying to teach a person something, and they're not getting the lesson. And so the lessons keep getting harder and more dramatic, and the person just needs to finally get to that, I guess, that breaking point to make a different choice before they can move forward in a positive direction. So that's where I'm at. How about you, Grant?
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, great points. Great points. I think Dr. Burgett nailed it on the head when she said about, understand it, see it, recognize it. I would say become aware of what's happening to you, because when something unexpected happens, we all react differently. And as we go through life, we get to know ourselves a little bit better. And we know that we will react to certain things in a certain way. So sometimes if something unexpected and unwanted happens to me, I will sit there. In fact, this happened last week. Something happened while I was away. A bit of a problem popped up in business, certainly unforeseen. I've been given some wrong advice and it had gone wrong. Quite big, quite largely as well. And I thought, oh my God. And I really could have lost my cool about it. And it's pretty big, but I had to sit back and think, okay, what's going on? So what's going on with you now? I thought, bit of anger, bit of shock, a lot of disappointment. Okay, that's understandable. Yeah. So start to use the skills I have. And I thought, well, it is a big problem. It is a big problem, an expensive one to fix, probably. And there's certain stuff's going to be lost and stuff. Yeah, and it is. The worst feeling was helplessness. There was nothing I could do about it. And I thought, okay, is this going to be a problem in 5 years' time? No. No. Is it an inconvenience now? Yeah, massively so. So, all right, if you went, like Nick said, to a higher plane, if you was bigger, if you was higher up the tree, how would you deal with this? And I thought, well, I'll do this and do that and I'll do that. Just do that then. Just do that. And at the end of the day, if you're good at what you do, you'll overcome that. And this is what I thought. I've just got to grow into that. It's as simple as this. Don't get me wrong. The next day I woke up, I thought of it again. I thought, it was disappointing, but worse things happen. Worse things happen than that. Much worse. So just deal with it. And that is life and that is success. And this is what I always say, that every time we grow, guess what? There's a challenge. There's a challenge. The graph doesn't go like that. It goes like this. It goes like that. It goes like that. But generally, hopefully goes in the right direction. It wiggles around. Is there some lessons to be learned? Yeah, there's some lessons. Could there be some improvements on procedures? Definitely. And that's the lesson, because there's normally a lesson. A friend of mine is is a serial mistake maker in his same areas of life. Always him. And something had happened, and he phoned me a few weeks ago to say he had upset a colleague of ours. Okay. I said, do you think you perhaps trampled on his identity? Yeah. I remember having the same conversation with him a couple of years ago and the year before that. 3 days ago, a friend of mine said, I've had to ban that guy off social media. What's he done now? A similar thing. And he'll go through life without learning his lessons because he won't recognize what's happened. He won't take responsibility for it. And it's not always your fault, but sometimes there's a percentage of it that's your fault and somebody else's. But no, he'll always be right. He has a need to be right. And he often says the phrase when people ask him, you know, you can't do that. He says, I don't care. And I think it's true. He genuinely doesn't care. So I say, well, if you don't care, you can't be surprised at the outcome, can you? Really? But people, that's the way he deals with it. He doesn't deal with it. He just systematically wrecks things. I will now try to catch myself and think, what am I feeling? Like if somebody says something that upsets you or something like that, and you feel a bit off, I think, no, what's going on with you? Why are you feeling like this? Okay. This person said that. Why is that a problem? And, no, it reminds me of somebody in the past on that. And it comes a big, so I'm associating this situation with that one. That's what's a bit of emotional stacking. So this is the way I try to work with it. But of course, yeah, awareness, I think, is the key word, because if it's not, you'll just be like a rat in a wheel. You'll be caught in it. You'll be caught in it, and there's no logical thinking. And that's what I just wanted to add to that, really. But great points made by Dr. Burgett and Nick there. Amanda, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I think sometimes life can throw some curveballs at you that you don't expect, and that you really have to look at, like, what you guys just said about what is it that I can learn from this situation. And I think sometimes we think that we know people, and then something happens and we're like, whoa, I did not know that person at all. And you're like, they pulled the wool over your eyes for so long. And because I was married to who I believe is someone who has narcissistic personality disorder, it was like mind blowing once things started to unravel. And I really took it upon myself to be like, what's wrong with me? Why didn't I see the signs? Why didn't I see all of these things? And it really took me down into this dark path. But at the same time, it actually opened more doors for me, because it allowed me to write a children's book called Divorce is a D Word. Sometimes two separate homes are better than one. And I always think, like, what is it that we can learn from this situation, and anything that life throws at us? What is it that we can learn? And I think sometimes some of the things that really throw us are our personal relationships, because so much of our self-worth is tied with the social interactions that we have, and with our family members that we have, and how those relationships affect you. And you can hope that somebody's going to react in this way, and then they act the complete opposite way of like what you would think a logical person would behave. But you have no control over how somebody else reacts to a situation. You only have control over you and your energy and what you spend your time focusing on. And so I really think sometimes when life throws things at us that we're like, whoa, we really have to take a step back, like Grant and like Nick were saying, where you look at it from afar and say, how can we learn and grow and like take this head on? And so that's kind of where I'm coming at from this, is I'm looking at this as from personal relationships that really like almost break you, because you believe and trust someone and then the opposite becomes true.
Love that, Amanda, what you're saying, that sometimes we don't have control over other situations. And also you mentioned that sometimes we think we know people, but we don't know them. I think that is part of life. I always say sometimes, even if you have been married with someone for 20 years or 40 years, we think we know that person. We don't, because there are some people that you see them on the news, they've been married for this long, and then the wife or the husband turn out, and then they end up stabbing the husband, or things like that. I've been in a situation where sometimes I go into relationships with friends and then everything is okay, and then somebody switches just like that. They turn out to be something that you don't expect, but from the beginning, or maybe 2 years or 3 years, they're like this perfect person. But you have to be prepared for the unexpected, and also the events will happen in your life, with health, with the things like business. People will cheat on you when it comes to business. So you have to expect those kind of things and be prepared. I've had somebody taking £10,000 from my bank account, just like that. And you go and buy something and they promise to make a deal and say, yes, this is going to be this, it's going to happen. And then the next thing I go to their office, the office is empty. So they go. So those are the kind of things that you have to be prepared. And also, we live in this world where there are good people, there are selfish people, but the selfish people, they don't tell you that actually I am selfish. They put on this persona, and you just have to expect and learn how to respond, because at the end of the day, you guys mentioned that we have to learn something from that situation. We learn those situations, the events that we go through in life. They give us strength. They teach us how to respond in every situation. Sometimes we might look at life as, oh, everything is bad, but maybe there is a light. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. So it's how we respond to that situation when life hits you. And sometimes the people get married, like Amanda, you were married and divorced, but you didn't know that your husband was going to turn out to be how he turned out. So those are the things that we need to be aware of, that people do change. And normally when they do change, and even sometimes, even with the family members as well, I've seen family members as well, 1 minute, everything is okay, and then the next they tend like sell you for some piece of gold, turn against you. So those are the kind of things that you have to be prepared of, that it is life. It's part of the life that we are walking through, and just find ways and have a system on how to handle things like that. For me, the system I use is my prayer life. My prayer life, it helps me to actually conquer every situation. I don't put down, like Nick was saying, he used to push down his feelings. For me, I have to be overcome. I have to overcome when the problems comes. I look at it and I say, you know what, you're not here permanent. So if I stress and focus on you, I'm going to end up with health problems. But I'm aware that you problem, I have to speak to the problem. I'm aware that you are here, but for now, I'm just going to deal with God. I'm just going to ask God to actually help me find a way, because I know that my way might not be able to fight whatever the fight that I'm fighting. So sometimes it helps when you are faced with the challenges just to use your beliefs and whatever you believe that can help you to pull through. Over to you, Dr. Bigot.
I love what you said, Nimsa, that you just sit there and like we said earlier, first thing is not to run from the feeling or push it away, because sometimes in this society, a lot of time we want to go to either we're not trained and do that, or run straight into what can we think about this? How can we jump right into the thinking and the doing, and don't take me wrong, it's absolutely important to not just it's I'm not saying, oh, something happened and then you sit there and you feel sad or you feel angry or something and sitting in there. There is a difference between sitting, so to say, and dwelling versus acknowledging. And I want to make that clear with our audience, because sometimes, oh, but I'm sad, but I'm sad, I'm sad. We got that you said, and it's absolutely important and great job acknowledging, because sometimes if we go from the problem and then immediately jump to what can we do and skip the feeling part, the feeling actually hold the secret answer to the way that you really want to be and do. Your feelings come from your heart. Your thoughts come from your mind. And a lot of times deep in your heart is the secret answer on how I was discussing this with somebody last night. The feeling hold the secret answer on the way that truly will feel at the end of the road aligned with you. While if you just, okay, what these people say, the dad, what everything says, it's all up here, and it might still be, it might be the correct answer, it might be the logical answer, but it's not necessarily the answer that is for you, and you are unique. We're all meant to be unique in a way that your fingerprints meant to be unique. So your feeling, it's good to pay attention to your feelings. It holds the secret answer on what would align with you. And then from there, let me ask you, if you have a math problem, you given a math problem, I give you a math problem or a puzzle or something that you must resolve, not that, you can get the puzzle and sit on it, and you never do that, what would you do? Would you ask for support? Would you say to somebody, hey, I never done this or something, and ask for support? That to me is the second step if you don't know what to do with that. And the support for everyone could be different. For you, Numsa, I love that you go to your religions, to God. For some of us, it might not be to our religions or God. For some of us, we don't particularly have a strong religion, and that's okay. Everybody's meant to be different. You might say, okay, I believe in higher intelligence, or you might say, okay, well, I'm not so much a believer, and look for different support. It's just everybody just different. But I would say, if you really have absolutely no idea what to do, ask for support. And if you ask for support in one direction and you're not receiving the answer, it's kind of like, okay, you want to create, you spilled milk in your house, which is not something you want to do. You spilled the whole milk. Well, what would you do? You might get a little upset, particularly if you need milk at the time and you don't have any more left. But then you don't sit there and say, I'm upset, Phil, I don't have milk. But you got to go out and you ask the support from the grocery store, for instance. Or in here, in California, in Los Angeles, where everybody loves to order everything, you go to and hopefully it can get delivered, right? And then, but if the first store don't have it, do you stop there? Hopefully not. You go to the next one and the next one. If the delivery, this one don't have it, you said, okay, somebody else bring it to me. And so ask for support. Ask for support is the other very important part. If you never done it, if you face something you have no idea how to navigate through it efficiently and effectively. What about you, Nick? What is your go-to actions when things happen?
I think that well, you guys have nailed it, but so acknowledging what you're feeling and what you're going through, and then that second piece that you just beautifully described is that, seeking help and assistance and guidance and all of that. That's it's really, I think that's the key. And then as we, I think, grow in our development too, that acknowledgement piece seems to get easier and quicker, and you're able to drag yourself out of those low points in a more efficient manner, and then have that perspective. I think Grant described it really great, as how he's able to in those like everything's going on and it's really dynamic, and oh man, and I'm feeling all these things, and it's like, okay, why am I feeling these things? And to be able to in that moment go to that place of, okay, I'm triggered by this situation because of this thing that happened to me in my childhood, or whatever the situation may be, I think is really key, because it kind of almost snaps you out a little bit of it and doesn't let you get into that spiral of, I think we all know what that feels like, where it's just that you don't know what to do and there's no obvious solution, and you just kind of get sucked into it, and then our brains just go in this loop at times, and it's never a good thing. And I don't think that's where the solutions lie. I think the solutions a lot of times lie externally, with asking for help, and being vulnerable too is another piece that's really been transformational for myself. Is historically I always thought that being strong and being resilient meant like just dealing with everything on my own and trying to figure out a way, where I've kind of went the complete opposite direction in recent years. So I'll just give kind of an example. And so I was a police officer for my a good chunk of my life, and then at the end of my career, I had a breakthrough at work where my life just came like crashing in on me, and I had no idea what was happening to me, but I knew I was getting a strong sign that things needed to change. And in that moment, instead of adopting my old strategy of pushing down and just like trying to figure it out on my own, I just gave like full surrender, in the sense of just being honest with people and just telling them what my situation was, and allowing people to help me. And for me, that was the first time I'd ever done that. And it felt strange but good at the same time, to kind of not delegate some of that responsibility, but to just to realize that it's not all just me. I can rely on other people, and it's okay to not be okay. Not in the long term, of course, but in those moments while you're figuring out your course of action, I think that's another thing, to give yourself some grace and some be patient with yourself, to allow yourself to process and work through those things, and not get overwhelmed by the how big it might seem to you in the moment. Is to just allow those processes to naturally happen, and then allow people to come in and help you. Because I wouldn't be sitting in front of you today if I wouldn't have allowed people to help me. And it's not just giving up and letting other people just do whatever they will with you. I mean, you still have to take an active role and find what feels good to you, like whether that's a psychologist or whatever it is. Like, you have to find the one that works for you. But just that allowing that to happen. That was it for now. Sorry, Grant.
Hi, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, great. Allowing it to happen. And I think, and as you say, it's okay not to be okay. A great phrase, which is now in our modern parlance these days, and quite rightly so. It is okay to not be okay. And I think when things happen, one of the questions which I try to help my clients with is, when something happens, I'll ask them, okay, so what happened? What's going on? And when they look at it and they're stuck, I try to say to them, so how do you want to feel? What is it you want? What is your desired outcome from this? What would make this okay? What is it? What needs to happen? These kind of questions, to get them to understand, to tune in themselves, because quite often they're stuck in the problem, but they aren't focusing on the solution. And at the beginning, they don't know, but when you ask the question, they do. Well, in certain terms, you'll call it a transvariation search, TVS, right? They'll sit there and think, oh, hang on, it could be like this, it could be like that. And they'll start to think of it when you direct their focus. But it's not only mental. I always want to ask them how they want to feel, because I'll ask them, how's this making you feel right now? Okay. So what would be a better feeling? And there's certain techniques and modalities I use to change the feelings around things. So I was running a mastermind yesterday, for example, and someone had a certain problem and they wanted to improve their confidence around it. But the problem's still there. And I said, do you want me to help you with your confidence, or do you want to fix the problem? They're two different things. And to a certain extent, if you fix the problem, the confidence will come anyway. But I just want to be clear. I want to give you, what is it you actually want? You know, do you want the headache to go away, or do you want to cause the symptom? You cure the symptom of the headache, but or the cause. What is it? What is it we're working on? And I think it's the same there. There's the feeling. That's what needs to happen. But how do you want to feel at the end of this? Because quite often, when emotional things happen, we have an expression in the world of hypnotherapy that the thing is not the thing. People say, oh, this is bothering me. It's often not. It's symbolic of something else. So when I ask them about the feelings, is that what is it you want to feel from this? How do you want to do it? Because if two people had the same problem, one person would be affected by it, the next person wouldn't. It's just the way you choose to look at certain things. The challenge I had last week, I say I could have lost my cool about it, but I thought, no, I'm going to make a decision. I'm not going to have that, because that'll upset me, and I'm not going to do it. I'm going to play a bigger game. I'm going to be bigger. I will just find a solution, and I will deal with it, and I will learn from it, and that's it. And I chose to do that, and it felt really great, because I talk about this quite a bit on the show. It empowered me to do something. I stopped becoming a victim and became a solution provider. And that's a much better place to be. Feel a lot better, a lot more empowered, because we always have options. So if someone is caught in the moment, the funk of, it's happened, they don't know how to do it, when we get them in touch with the emotions will tell you what they don't want. And of course, the flip side of that is what they do want. Then there's certain modalities I can work on to change that feeling within a very, very short space of time. But again, the problem still exists. But that's when your left brain comes in. This is how we can logically fix the problem, but the right brain of how you can then feel about the problem. So it's two different approaches. Some people work on one, some people work on the other. I like to work on both, because I think when you do that, you get a complete solution. But it takes awareness in the first place. Quite often it needs a sounding board or someone to talk to, because when you're caught in it yourself, you can't always see the way out. Okay? It's like looking for something when you're in a hurry. People don't look. People panic and they do this. And they walk right past the thing they're looking for. You take someone calm, emotionally uninvolved, to come along and just say, there it is. And I think that's the importance of having a coach, a trainer, a therapist, a buddy system, someone who can come in and take an objective view of it and to help to guide your thoughts and your feelings. That's what I wanted to say. Amanda, you've always got a field of great stuff to add to this sort of thing. I'm very curious to know what you would like to say about this.
Well, I always think when something like happens, we always go like, what is it that I did to cause this situation? Or what is it that I did that I didn't see this ahead of time, right? Or why didn't I know this before? Or why didn't I see the signs? And we go into this like self-doubt funnel, right? Where it's this like the self-doubt of like, why me? And I think when we do realize, and we've got some tools to get ourselves out of that why me funnel, then we start to realize, oh, this is actually a learning opportunity, or, oh, this is the universe throwing that same situation at me again to see, did I actually learn from the last time? Because they say that if you don't learn your lesson, you're just going to keep seeing the same spiral happen over and over and over again. And each time that spiral comes, if you deal with it in the same way, then that spiral is going to come back. But if you actually learn from that situation and grow, that's going to be your opportunity to actually grow. Otherwise, it's going to keep coming back, right? And for me, that's the like toxic connection between like the narcissist and the empath, because I'm an empath and apparently I'm a magnet to narcissists. And so that piece is like, okay, when can I see the signs? And if I don't see the signs, and then it's revealed to me, it's like, whoa, what just happened? I thought I knew all of these signs, but apparently I didn't. So it's like, okay, what can I learn from this situation? How can I grow? And so that I can continue to be on this path. And also, like, what is these situations teaching me so that I can help others? And so that's kind of how I view any situation that like kind of really throws me in that personal piece. So like my divorce was like, okay, now I can like write children's books on divorce. Being an empath, I wrote a children's book on empathy and I am empathetic, and it's teaching kids about empathy. Being in yoga and being focused on mindfulness, that piece was writing books on I'm fearless and all these yoga poses and I am statements to empower kids. And so I think when we have something that we really struggle with, it's because we're strong enough to deal with it. And we have, like, I told my daughter one day, I said, you know, I read this stuff about how the universe will throw something at you because you're strong enough to deal with it. And if you weren't strong enough, it wouldn't be in your face right now. And you're one of those people that is so strong that you're going to be able to get through this and then be able to help other people because of that. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have all of these lessons, is because you look at it, if you look at the people that you really are like, wow, that person is amazing, it's probably because they've overcome so much in their life. We don't look at somebody as being like amazing because they've had everything handed to them on a silver platter. We look at people who are amazing as being like, they've overcome a lot, they know what they're talking about, they have all of this life experience, and like, look at where they came from to where they've gone to and where they're going as an inspiration. So all those struggles and things that are hitting you hard, look at this as like, I'm strong enough to deal with this, and this is going to help me help others. And I think if we can look at any struggle that we're having and anything that's thrown at us and we're blindsided by, that's the way we can approach it. And that's the only way we're going to truly heal from this, is when we can be like, I can internally heal, I can grow. And if something comes back at you again, it's probably because there's just another little lesson in there that you need to learn so that you can keep on this journey of empowering and helping others, and empowering and helping yourself. So that's my thoughts. What do you think?
Thank you so much, Amanda. I think we are overcomers. We in life, we all go through so much. I like it when you say, we look at people, we say, this person is amazing. I think there is every person that we cross path, there is a story behind it, and people use that story to help them get to where they need to go, or to help them build their lives. And I like it when Dr. Bigot say you have to seek support in order for you to actually get out of the whatever the darkness that you might be, because life is a journey, and when life hits you with the unexpected, and you have to learn how to handle it, you have to learn how to respond to that situation. And for me, it's taken me actually a long time. It's like my family, they couldn't understand me before. I used to hang out with my dad and my stepdad. So when my stepdad and my dad died, and then I started like getting closer to everybody, and people had this image that my life should be. So I always tell them that for me, I will never fake my identity or fake to be the person to show people, even though I'm in United Kingdom. There are people that are in Africa, when they look at my life, they are like, wow, Nomsa has a good life. But through that good life, I've overcome the challenges. I have overcome so much pain. So I always keep it real. And my family were like, why do you have? I'm like, why do I have to pretend to be? I'm all, my life has been wonderful while it hasn't. So I have to show people how the journey begins with life so that they can go through that life. When they are faced with challenges, they are able to actually, if Nomsa can come out through those challenges, I can too. So I think it is very, very important to learn to overcome things, to be an overcomer. And also, just before I came on live, I was watching somebody send me a video of a black girl in Kent. She was being attacked. And people are just standing there watching. And I was like, this is it's an embarrassment. This is really embarrassing to actually people just standing there and letting this girl being actually destroyed. She could have died while people, these are young girls that are beating up this girl, and there's men there, they are just watching it happen. So I was like, what's happening on earth? But this is life. This is what we have to go through as people. And at the end of the day, so we have to know how we respond to that event. And for me, I just look at it that, yes, there are bad people, there are people that are good. Not everyone else is bad, because it is racism. And but how do you respond to that when you said, but as how life it is? Yesterday we're talking about the intentions, so you have to, and Dr. Bigot, you mentioned the feelings. That, what did you say? You said we are all unique, and our feelings and how we respond to whatever we do in life we have to understand that we are created and we are unique. And yes, we are unique. No matter what problems comes, the problems don't come to change our personality. They don't come to change our image, but they just come to give us strength, to show us that yes, we can overcome and become better people. Let's say if you have a business, when you are presented with problems, you can overcome whatever you're overcoming and go to the next level. But some people choose to be defeated. They surrender to the problems. But for me, I don't surrender to the problems. I look at it and I'm like, okay, bring it on. Whatever you want to bring it on, bring it on. And I just continue with my life, not ignoring problems, but fighting the problems and knowing that I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to be okay. And I just have to, the truth with me, when I have a problem, I don't talk about it. When I talk about the problem, the first person that I go to when I have a problem is God. When I have a problem, then the person that I would choose to tell that problem, it means there's been a revelation why I need to go to that person to actually confide in them. I don't just confide in anyone. So when I have a problem, I have this thing where I go, okay, I'm going to stop everything that I'm doing and I'm going to calm down and I'm going to be aware, acknowledge of what is going on. And I know that everything is going to be fine. And then I go and pray. And then once I do that, and then I go and approach somebody and said, can you support me with this? Sometimes I don't have to. Once I pray, sometimes they might approach me and say, oh, Nomsa, I thought you may like this, or you may want to talk about something like a topic like similar to this. And then I'm like, oh, this is what I'm going through. Then the conversation, it just goes, it flows. And then through that, I find peace. So that's what I do. I don't handle the situation on my own, and I don't just approach anyone. And it's something that I've learned the hard way. Sometimes when you approach people on your own, you end up things end up getting worse, because that person will make things worse. And when you hear me talking about it, it means it's over, it's done. And I'm just talking about it to actually, for somebody to learn from it, and to actually, so that they can learn to overcome whatever they want to overcome. But other than that, I just go with my prayer life and just say, God, you know what? I've learned to speak. I've learned to actually speak to the earth. I've learned to speak to the universe. I've learned to speak to God. So that's what I do. So, but we all have different beliefs. People have their own different beliefs, but whatever you believe in, if there's someone who is watching, don't let yourself sink into that Red Sea and without seeking help, seek help. But through the right people, because not everyone else in your path is there to actually carry you through whatever challenges. There are specific people that will carry you through. And I've learned that the hard way in my life, that not everyone that cross path with me, I can see a handsome man if I'm single, but there's one thing in my head that I know, that I'm not meant to date everybody. People are there coming into my life to help me with it in that season, not for me to kiss or to sleep with them just because they are nice. They're just there. I have to acknowledge their purpose. What's their purpose? What's their assignment? Why are they entering my life? And I've learned that the hard way. So I have to treat a business, to me, is a business. When I go on a business trip or meet somebody for business, no matter how handsome they are, they come to me, I'm like, we have to stick to the business. So those are the things, the things that I've learned the hard way, that the unexpected will come to your life. The doctors would deliver the news that you didn't expect. The post would deliver the news that you didn't expect. The WhatsApp messages regarding family or death, they will receive the news that you didn't expect. But you have to learn how to respond when the uncalled for is presented to you. Over to you, Dr. Bickett. And also, if anyone is watching, please feel free to actually comment and let us know how you've been able to deal with the unexpected and handle the uncalled for. And Dr. Bickett, I think it's 5 minutes to 2, and I know Amanda, she needs to go. Would you mind to actually tell the audience who you are and where they can find you, and when you finish, pass it through to Amanda, because she needs to go on time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Numsa. And I mentioned briefly that I'm here to help you with what's you call your problem, particularly if it's something that breaks your heart, and being a grief specialist. And I love what you said, Numsa, earlier about problem many times, as well as what others said in here about looking at it from a different way. The Mandarin character for problem or adversity is actually 2 characters. Even though Mandarin character, sometimes they use 1 or 2. I don't know much about Mandarin character beyond this, but it's a Mandarin character for problem is actually 2 characters. The first part of the word problem in Mandarin meant danger. If you look at that part, that character itself, it meant danger. The second part of the Mandarin word problem, so first part danger, the second part actually meant by itself opportunity. So a problem is something that looks like a danger, but it actually has an opportunity. And then after you acknowledge, you want to ask, what is it that you want? And again, if you don't know, and Numsa says earlier, so you see, you don't talk like Numsa, you don't talk to a lot of people until you solve it. Now, sometimes that's some things that work, but sometimes for some of us, if we don't have the training and the experience, we might want to talk to somebody else. But let me ask you, if you break your leg, would you go to your neighbor or even your primary care physicians and say, come help me with my broken leg? No, you might. And people are altruistic. If you ask them, they will try to help you. And at the same time, if you go to your neighbor and receive your help for your broken leg, even your primary care physicians, and then you stop there and your legs still don't feel quite right, then it's perhaps you are yet to reach the correct persons, which is the orthopedic surgeons. So you want to acknowledge, you want to ask, is this the way I want to continue to feel? Is this the result I want to continue to see? And if the answer is no, you want to ask for help. You want to allow support. But very importantly, which I teach my clients the different, and Nick mentions briefly about vulnerability versus being willing to be vulnerable and receive help. It's very important that you receive help from the correct persons. Being a doctor, if somebody, I was an oncologist, somebody come to me with something completely different that's unrelated with a broken leg, you would not get even though I was an excellent noun oncologist. If you come to me with a broken leg that has nothing to do with cancer, I wouldn't be able to help you well. There is a difference, and continue, so allow the correct support. And if the support that you're receiving now is not allowing you to receive what it is that you would love, keep going, keep looking until you got to the correct one. And there is an answer for every problem because it's an opportunity. What about you, Amanda?
I think everything is an opportunity to learn and grow. And when you're getting stuck, there's things that you can reach out to for support and books, and there's people that'll come into your life at just the right time to help empower you and help you move forward. And so really, if there is some unintentional things that have really thrown you lately, oh, that's my alarm to get up. It's early here. It's definitely an opportunity to learn and to grow, and maybe even just like take on something that you've never tried before that you've always wanted to try, because sometimes those unintentional things really throw us and get us into this dark place. But trying new things and getting back into things that you truly love to do are those things that are going to help you pull out of it quicker. What about you, Nick?
I really like that, the opportunity, the danger, and then the opportunity. For me, looking back at my last few years, that's been definitely the case for me, is those danger situations have really, with the benefit of hindsight, turned out to be amazing opportunities. And for the first time in my life, I've been able to recognize that, and in that moment not go to the normal pattern that I would have, and suppressed and pushed down and all those things. And how my life has completely changed trajectory based on just that simple fact of not getting sucked in, and seeing that there is opportunity in the chaos, basically. So yeah, that's great. I think I've said everything I wanted to, and yeah, I just want to thank you guys. That was really, really good. So thanks. Over to you, Grant.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, absolutely. As it's often said, that every challenge has an opportunity hidden somewhere. In the world of business, there's more millionaires made in a recession, for example, okay? Because there is a shift, there is an opportunity, there's a challenge, which means there's a problem that people need a solution to. So there's always an opportunity if you wish to position yourself there correctly. So always ask, people look at things in isolation. They look at it and think, this is my problem. Okay. But how many other people are going for that same challenge right now? If you get through this challenge, if you find a way around it, you can often find solutions for other people. One of the reasons that I got into the world of coaching and training was because of a challenge that I had. And I just learned how to overcome it myself. I did a lot of questioning, a lot of self-fact-finding, a lot of soul searching. And I did that. Didn't read any books in it, but if you read a lot of books now, a lot of those techniques will be in those books. And this is what I discovered myself, and I've helped other people with it since. And that's when somebody first said to me, you should become a coach. And that was the very humble beginnings of it. And I coach on so many other things now, because those same principles map over into different areas of life, business, commerce, etc. So yeah, definitely, I would say that to conclude, take a look at it this way. You want to understand what's going on. How are you feeling? Why are you feeling this? How would you like to feel, and what steps can you take to get that feeling? Then think about it as another dimension I just want to throw in right at the end is, because as myself, as a trained pilot, we always train for emergencies. We always prepare for these problems so that when it happens, we don't go, what's happening? We just say, okay, follow that procedure. Now, we can't rehearse for every procedure, I know, and there's always the human element that comes in. Nomsa was talking about when people stand by and watch something. This is known as the standby effect. Bystander effect. It's a phenomenon that happens. You can train, you can learn to level up your own skills so that that breaks. Okay, you can do that as part of the training which I give to people. But it's understanding where you want to go with it, preparing for these things as much as possible. In the world of security, you have disaster recovery, contingency plans, because things will happen. And when it happens, you merely put the procedure into place. Not so easy when it comes to people's personal emotions, but you can take a lesson from that and start to apply it. After all, people invest in pensions, right? Because they're predicting there's going to be a day when they're no longer earning money. If you take that analogy and map that over to other areas of your life, it will help to reduce the overwhelm. Okay. So that's what I wanted to say. Me, I'm Grant Morrell. I'm an international speaker, coach, trainer, and an international best-selling author. And over the last 20 years, myself and an international team have helped thousands of entrepreneurs, business owners, organizations across 15 plus countries, helping to increase profits by helping them work on their team, their systems, their mindset, and their strategy so that they can live a life of passion and purpose and develop a business or a lifestyle that can become a legacy for generations to come. You can look me up on the internet. You can get me on Instagram as grant.morrell. And I'd love to help people even more. Nomsa.
Thank you so much, Grant and Amanda and Dr. Bigot and Nick. I'm sure our audience appreciate you guys. And thank you so much for those who have been watching Uncovering the Unexpected and how to handle the uncalled for and unintentional. Remember, with the right mindset and preparation, you can turn every unexpected and every event into an opportunity for growth and for success. And please, if you have not subscribed to our channel, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and like us on Facebook as well, on our Facebook page for more helpful tips and tricks. And until next time, learn to handle life however you think is right for you, and handle with confidence as well. Live with grace, and God bless.